The old town of Ravenbrook, nestled in the heart of the mist-shrouded woods, had always been a place of whispered secrets and hidden tales. Its cobblestone streets wound through a landscape steeped in mystery, each twist and turn revealing another layer of its enigmatic past. Yet, none of its legends sent shivers down the spine quite like that of the Sinister Sideshow. Decades ago, when memories of the town's founders were still fresh, a traveling carnival arrived in Ravenbrook under cover of the darkest night the town had ever seen. The sky was devoid of stars, the moon concealed behind a heavy blanket of clouds, as if the universe itself wished to shroud this arrival in an air of foreboding. The carnival's arrival was heralded by the haunting calliope melody that drifted eerily through the town's narrow alleys, tugging at the edges of the imagination like ghostly fingers. Creaking and groaning, the carnival's wagons and tents seemed to materialize out of thin air, as if the very fabric of reality had been rent to make way for this malevolent spectacle. Yet, it was the main tent, larger than any structure the town had ever seen, that captured the collective gaze. Its entrance bore a gilded sign, its letters twisting and contorting like writhing serpents, spelling out the words "The Sinister Sideshow, witness the unthinkable." News of the carnival's arrival spread like wildfire, carried by the whispered conversations of townsfolk huddled in shadowy corners. Rumors painted vivid and grotesque images of the carnival's performers, a contortionist whose bones cracked and snapped as he twisted his body into nightmarish shapes, a psychic who could strip the soul bare with a mere gaze, and a magician whose tricks held a malevolent twist that left audiences both mesmerized and terrified. In the days that followed, the town's residents found themselves in possession of invitations, passed surreptitiously from hand to hand, like forbidden tokens of entry into a realm beyond the known. Each invitation bore a single line, etched in elegant, blood-red script that seemed to pulse with a life of its own: "Come and experience the forbidden, but beware, for once you enter, there is no turning back." The invitation itself seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, its very presence a palpable reminder that the Sinister Sideshow was no mere carnival, but a portal into a realm where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred into a grotesque tapestry of the unimaginable. And as the date of the grand opening drew near, the air in Ravenbrook grew heavy with a mixture of trepidation and morbid curiosity, casting a shadow over the town that would never truly dissipate. On the night of the Sinister Sideshow's grand opening, a reluctant and curious crowd gathered before the ominous tent that seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly aura. The air was thick with anticipation, a tangible sense of foreboding that settled like a heavy shroud over the assembled onlookers. As the tent's flaps were drawn back, a sudden gust of frigid wind swept over the crowd, sending a collective shiver down their spines. The interior was a labyrinthine expanse of dimly lit corridors, each one beckoning with an eerie allure, promising both fascination and dread. Gasps and startled cries echoed through the air as spectators ventured deeper, drawn by morbid fascination toward the bizarre and the macabre that awaited within. In one shadowy corner, a twisted figure performed an unsettling dance of contortion, his body bending and folding in ways that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The audible cracks and pops of his bones seemed like a grotesque symphony of agony and elasticity. Across from him, a psychic with hauntingly intense eyes locked gazes with those who dared approach, peering into the very depths of their souls. Secrets long buried resurfaced, fears were exposed, and the psychic's knowing smile revealed an intimate familiarity with the darkness that resides within. At the heart of the sideshow's maze-like interior, the magician held court, an enigmatic figure whose tricks blurred the line between illusion and reality. A sense of unease settled upon the audience as they watched rabbits torn apart only to reappear unscathed, and a woman sawed in half whose screams resonated with a chilling authenticity. Each spectacle carried an undertone of malevolence, leaving the crowd simultaneously entranced and horrified, teetering on the precipice of disbelief and dread. However, it was the final act that left an indelible mark upon the psyche of all who dared bear witness. A large curtain was dramatically drawn back, revealing an ornate mirror, a mirror that did not reflect the faces of those who stared into it, but rather their innermost demons. The mirror's surface seemed to ripple with a dark energy, distorting the reflections of those who stood before it. Each person was confronted with a haunting visage, a nightmarish rendition of themselves as twisted, malevolent beings, a stark reminder of the darkness that lingers beneath the veneer of humanity. The air within the tent grew heavier with every passing moment, the unease that had settled over the crowd now permeating their very souls. As the night wore on, whispers of disquietude spread like wildfire, the collective sense of anticipation slowly transforming into a creeping sense of dread. The Sinister Sideshow had ensnared Ravenbrook in its clutches, casting a long and chilling shadow over the town's already secretive history. As the night unfolded within the Sinister Sideshow's sinister embrace, it became increasingly apparent that the carnival was no ordinary spectacle. The very air seemed to thicken with a malevolent energy, wrapping around the attendees like a suffocating shroud. Whispers of unease circulated through the crowd, as if the collective consciousness of Ravenbrook was attuned to the growing darkness. Those who had initially entered the carnival grounds with a sense of curious excitement now found themselves ensnared in a twisted nightmare. The contortionist, who had once been a marvel of flexibility, now contorted his body into grotesque and agonizing shapes, each movement accompanied by an audible chorus of cracking bones. The psychic, once a master of perception, was now tormented by harrowing visions of her own impending demise, her eyes reflecting a haunted emptiness. The magician's illusions, once captivating and awe-inspiring, now bore a malevolent twist that left the audience both mesmerized and horrified. His tricks turned against him, each sleight of hand resulting in unforeseen and gruesome consequences. The rabbits that were pulled from the hat were no longer whole, and the woman saw it in half-emitted blood-curdling screams that seemed all too real, punctuating the air with an eerie symphony of terror. The Sinister Sideshow had become a crucible of torment, its performers trapped within a cycle of suffering that mirrored the darkness within the hearts of those who bore witness. The very fabric of Ravenbrook's close-knit community began to unravel, like a frayed tapestry of trust and camaraderie. Friends turned against friends, their once unbreakable bonds twisted by suspicion and fear. Families, once united by love, now tore themselves apart as the malevolent energy of the carnival seeped into their relationships, sowing seeds of discord and despair. The fog that had descended upon Ravenbrook took on an otherworldly quality, as if it were a living entity, a sentient manifestation of the carnival's insidious influence. The town, once characterized by its sense of unity and shared history, had become a place of isolation and darkness. Outsiders who ventured too close found themselves ensnared by the same fog that had trapped the town's residents, cut off from the world beyond and drawn into the web of malevolence that the Sinister Sideshow had woven. Yet, amid the chaos and despair, a small glimmer of hope began to emerge. A group of survivors, bound by their determination to break the curse of the sideshow and free Ravenbrook from its suffocating grasp, banded together. They delved into the town's history, unearthing ancient texts and seeking out those who had managed to survive previous encounters with the malevolent carnival. It was through their research that they began to unravel the true nature of the curse, a curse that fed on the darkness within human souls, growing stronger with each passing moment. As the survivors embarked on their journey of discovery, they would soon find themselves confronting their own inner demons, an odyssey of self-discovery and redemption that would test their resolve and fortitude. The Sinister Sideshow had ensnared Ravenbrook, but it was through the survivors' unwavering determination that a glimmer of hope began to pierce the shroud of darkness, illuminating a path towards liberation and redemption. Amidst the chaos that had ensnared Ravenbrook, a small yet resolute group of survivors emerged, united by a burning determination to break the curse of the Sinister Sideshow that held their town captive. Together, they embarked on a relentless quest for answers, their footsteps echoing through the dimly lit corridors of Ravenbrook's history. As the survivors delved deeper into the town's past, they unearthed a trove of ancient tomes and whispered legends, each fragment of information shedding light on the malevolent carnival that had seized their home. Their research revealed that the Sinister Sideshow was no mere carnival, but a conduit for an ancient and sinister force, one that thrived on the darkness that resided within human souls. Guided by their newfound knowledge, the survivors sought out those who had managed to escape the Sideshow's grasp in years past. These survivors recounted harrowing tales of torment and despair, sharing glimpses of the twisted performances that had unfolded within the tent's shadowy confines. Their stories served as both a grim warning and a glimmer of hope, igniting a spark of resilience within the hearts of the present-day survivors. The group's journey of self-discovery became a crucible of redemption as each individual confronted their own inner demons. They peeled back the layers of their past, acknowledging their deepest regrets, fears, and shortcomings. It was a painful process, one that demanded a willingness to face the darkest corners of their souls, yet it was also a transformative one, as the survivors began to forge a newfound strength born from the crucible of their own vulnerability. As the survivors delved into the depths of their own psyches, the sinister fog that had blanketed Ravenbrook seemed to grow thicker, a manifestation of the Sideshow's grip on the town's collective consciousness. Paranoia and fear continued to spread, threatening to consume the town entirely. However, within the survivors, a growing sense of unity and purpose began to counteract the darkness, serving as a beacon of hope in the encroaching night. Guided by their unyielding determination and armed with the knowledge of those who had come before them, the survivors finally converged at the entrance of the Sinister Sideshow. With hearts full of resolve and a shared understanding of the peril that lay ahead, they entered the tent once more, ready to confront the malevolent force that had plagued their town for far too long. As the survivors ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, the performers of the sideshow appeared before them one by one, each a testament to the torment that had been inflicted upon them. Yet, these once twisted figures were now free from their agony, their forms slowly returning to normal as the curse's hold weakened. The contortionist stood tall, the psychic's eyes regained their clarity, and the magician's tricks ceased to carry their sinister undertones. At the heart of the tent, the mirror that had once reflected the twisted souls of the onlookers stood unblemished, its surface clear and untarnished. The survivors knew that this mirror held the key to breaking the curse once and for all. With a collective surge of determination, they shattered the mirror, the shards cascading to the ground like fragments of a shattered nightmare. As the mirror splintered, a shockwave rippled through the tent, carrying with it a surge of energy that dissipated the malevolent force that had gripped Ravenbrook. The Sinister Sideshow's malefic influence began to wane, its power eroded by the survivors' unwavering resolve and their willingness to confront their own darkness. The fog that had enshrouded the town lifted, and a sense of renewal washed over Ravenbrook, as if the very fabric of reality had been restored. The survivors emerged from the tent, their faces etched with a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. The town, once consumed by fear and paranoia, began to heal, its residents slowly coming together to rebuild the bonds that had been strained to the breaking point. The Sinister Sideshow had been defeated, its malevolent legacy reduced to a cautionary tale passed down through generations, a stark reminder of the power of unity, self-discovery, and the indomitable strength of the human spirit. Standing at the entrance of the Sinister Sideshow, the survivors felt a palpable surge of anticipation and determination. Their faces were etched with the weight of their journey, a journey that had led them through the depths of their own souls and into the heart of a malevolent force that had ensnared their town in darkness. As they stepped into the tent's dimly lit corridors, the performers of the Sinister Sideshow materialized before them, their once twisted forms now standing as testaments to the survivors' resolve. The contortionist, whose body had once been a grotesque tangle, stood upright, his movements fluid and free. The psychic's gaze, once haunted by visions of torment, now radiated clarity and strength. The magician, no longer bound by the malevolent energy that had tainted his tricks, watched with a mixture of awe and gratitude as the survivors passed. The mirror, once a conduit for the town's inner demons, now stood shattered and inert, its malefic influence obliterated. Its broken fragments lay scattered like fallen stars, a stark contrast to the sinister allure it had once held. With each shard that had fallen, a surge of catharsis washed over the survivors, a sense of liberation from the weight of their own darkness. The survivors emerged from the tent, blinking in the light as if waking from a long and haunting dream. The curse that had plagued Ravenbrook for so long had been broken, and the town itself seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The fog that had once shrouded the streets began to dissipate, revealing a town reborn, its spirit rekindled by the triumph of its residents. As the survivors ventured back into the heart of Ravenbrook, they were met with the tentative smiles of their fellow townspeople, their eyes holding a mixture of gratitude and wonder. The Sinister Sideshow had become a distant memory, a cautionary tale whispered by firesides and passed down through generations. Its once dreaded name now held a new meaning, a reminder of the strength that could be found in unity and the resilience that could emerge from the darkest of trials. The survivors, forever bonded by their shared experience, became beacons of hope within Ravenbrook, a living testament to the power of confronting one's own inner demons and emerging stronger on the other side. The town's sense of community was rekindled, and the scars of the past began to heal as the survivors and their fellow residents worked together to rebuild what had been shattered. In time, the legacy of the Sinister Sideshow evolved from a tale of horror to a story of redemption, its dark history serving as a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, the human spirit has the capacity to shine brightly. And as the years passed, the survivor's tale became a beacon of inspiration, a testament to the strength that could be found within the depths of the human heart, and a reminder that true horror is not merely the product of the supernatural, but also the struggle that lies within each of us.